Welcome to Don't Forget to Laugh. Wife says to her husband, she says, what are you doing? He says, nothing. She says, nothing. She says, you've been sitting there reading our marriage certificate for an hour. He says, yeah, I was looking for the expiration date. All right, it's Claiborne Patrick. Thank you again for stopping by Don't Forget to Live. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell notification to be notified for all future video uploads. I hope you enjoy these hilarious jokes, and most importantly, don't forget to laugh. There was a firefighter. He told his wife, he says, we have this great new alarm system at work. He said, bell 1 means put your jacket on. Bell 2 means slide down the pole. Bell 3 means be in the truck. He says, from here on out, that's how we're going to run our household. He said, when I say bell 1, you get naked. When I say bell 2, you jump into bed. When I say bell 3, we make passionate love. So a few days later, the firefighter comes home. He says, bell 1, wife gets naked. Bell 2, wife jumps into bed. Bell 3, they make passionate love. And after about 2 minutes, the wife says, bell 4. He says, bell 4. She says, yes, more hose. You're nowhere near the fire. Okay, blind man walks into a restaurant. The waiter, who also happens to be the owner, hands the blind man a menu. The blind man said, excuse me, sir. He says, I'm blind. I can't read the menu. He said, just bring me a fork from the previous customer. I'll smell it, and then I'll order from there. As odd as the request was, the owner complied, went over to the dirty dishes, grabbed a greasy fork, took it back to the blind man. Blind man sticks it to his nose, inhales, and says, yes, I'll have the meatloaf and mashed potatoes. So the owner goes to the kitchen to tell the chef, who also happened to be his wife, what just happened. Blind man eats his dinner and leaves. A few days later, blind man shows up. The owner hands the blind man the menu by mistake again. The blind man said, excuse me, sir, remember, says, I'm blind, I can't read the menu. The owner says, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't recognize you. I'll go eat your dirty fork. Goes get the dirty fork, brings it back to the blind man. Blind man sticks it to his nose, sniffs and says, ah, that smells good. I'll have the macaroni, cheese, and broccoli. So the owner goes to the kitchen and he tells the chef, again, his wife, he says, I think the blind man is messing with me. So the next time he comes to him, I'm going to have a test for him. So sure enough, a week later, the blind man comes back in. This time the owner sees him. And he eagerly runs over and grabs a dirty fork, runs to the kitchen. He says, Mary, he said, take this fork and rub it in your panties before I give it to the blind man. She complies, rubs it in her panties, gives it back to her husband. He goes out and he greets the blind man eagerly. He says, good afternoon, sir. He said, I recognize you this time and I have your fork. He says, okay. So he hands the blind man the fork. Blind man sticks the fork to his nose, takes in a deep breath and says, ah, hey, I didn't know Mary worked here. So a couple at home celebrating their 25th anniversary. They're drinking champagne, drinks are flowing, intimacy is in the air. The husband turns to the wife and says, honey, have you ever been unfaithful to me? And she says, yeah, only 3 times. And he's like, 3 times? She says, well, let me explain. She says, remember that time you needed open heart surgery and we didn't have the money to pay for it? He says, yeah. She says, well, I slept with the surgeon and he did the surgery for free. He says, well, I guess I should be grateful. He says, what about the second time? She said, the second time was, remember you wanted that promotion that was going to pass you over? So I slept with the president and the vice president. He says, hell, I probably could have did without that, but I guess I should be grateful. And what about the third time? She said, remember 2 years ago when you wanted to be the president of the baseball team and you were short 53 votes? There was an 85-year-old man who told the doctor he wanted a sperm count as a part of his physical exam. The doctor agrees, hands him a clear jar and says, okay, take this home and fill it with a specimen. So the next day, the 85-year-old man comes back, hands the jar to the doctor. The jar is as empty as it was when the doctor gave it to him. The doctor says, "What happened?" He says, "Well, doc," he says, "I went home and I tried it with my left hand. It didn't work." He said, "Then I tried it with my right hand. It didn't work. So I got my wife involved. She tried it with both hands. It didn't work. She even tried it with her mouth, teeth in and teeth out. We even got Marlene, the neighbor, involved. She comes over. She tries it with both hands. It still doesn't work. She tries using her armpit and even squeezing it between her knees, and it still didn't work." The doc is shocked, like, "You got your neighbor involved?" He says, "Yes, doc, no matter what we did, we still can't get that top off that jar." Woman walks into a pharmacy. She asks the pharmacist for some arsenic. The pharmacist says, "Why?" She says, "I want to kill my husband." He says, "I'm sorry." He said, "I don't do that." So the woman reaches in her handbag and she pulls out a photo of her husband and the pharmacist's wife and hands it to him. The pharmacist says, "You didn't tell me you had a prescription."